Hello, everybody. This is Zach Ritchie here with Fund and Grow for our official Black Friday funding education live stream. So glad for everyone who's going to be joining us on all different social media platforms here. I am a longtime contributor to Fund and Grow as well as a financial specialist here. I've been here for about 12 years. And in that time, I've gotten the opportunity to help all kinds of business owners and get funding and scale and grow their businesses. But this is not a stream about me. I am actually bringing on as our official guest and leader of today's live stream the CEO and founder of Fund&Grow, Mr. Ari Page. Now, this guy has been working in this industry for over 20 years, has helped over 35,000 business owners and entrepreneurs obtain the kind of funding that they're looking for. And through the team that he has personally assembled, we've been able to connect business owners with over $2 billion in funding. So without further ado, I'm going to bring the man on here to really walk through a ton of obstacles and ideas in the way of business owners achieving their goals and using business funding to get there. So hold on just a second. Mr. Ari Page, are you there?
I am here, Zach. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, wonderful. So let's kick things off with you here. I'm going to tinker with some things in the background, and the floor is officially yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So everyone, this is our first time doing this type of a Black Friday special. It's a little bit different for us, but here we are on social media, and we're going to be talking about getting you access to up to $250,000 in business credit cards and what you can do with those business credit cards. Did you know that you can buy a house with a business credit card? You can literally directly fund an escrow account with a business credit card. So a lot of times people have their money tied up in their business. So they have their money. It could be their money from cash flow. It could be just they're using savings, but they might be tied up perhaps in your last deal. A lot of times people that are doing fix and flips and they're buying and holding, they're wanting to move from property to property or from job to job quickly. But what happens is their money gets frozen in the last deal. And so what we're going to talk about today and in the next couple of minutes is why is it that your cash is always tied up in it and costing you? Why can't you move forward? So now you might already be using a hard money loan or a mortgage or a HELOC or private money or any other type of funding. But we're going to talk about why business credit cards are really important to use on top of those forms of funding. That we don't want to choose one form of funding. We want to combine all forms of funding so that you can really move forward quickly. So that people understand, we have clients that will get anywhere from $100,000 in credit card funding up to $351,000 is one recent client that just graduated. So yeah, someone's asking, is this being recorded so we can share with other business partners? Not on this call. I don't know if it is. That's a good question for Zach.
That's a great question. So this is being recorded. We're not sure exactly where we want to put it as of yet. But if there's any business owners, any fellow investors standing by, send them whatever link you're watching this on right now, because this information is going to be beneficial to not only them, but to you.
And we have the best offer that we have ever ran. Even if you've been on any of our Black Friday special webinars in the past, and I know this isn't a webinar, we're on social media, but this is our first time doing this. So if you've seen any of our deals in the past, you have not seen the one that we have for you today, because we're offering our service today for 50% off. Normally it's a $4,000 program. And we are offering it today for $1,998. And that is for one partner to be able to build up to $250,000 on business credit cards, enabling you to move fast so that you don't miss opportunities while your funding is tied up in your last deal. That way you can fund your next down payment or fix and flip or rental deal. Now, we do have clients using it even for things like covering marketing or payroll or inventory, and without touching their reserves. Did you guys know that you can use a business credit card to pay for payroll? Yeah, it's a very easy thing. There's third-party payment services that you can use that will allow you, without violating any MasterCard, Visa, or American Express rules, to be able to directly pay for payroll or for a variety of things. Have you ever had a credit card and then you wanted to pay a business service, but the business didn't accept credit card? Well, we will work you right past that, not as a problem. So one of the most powerful things about business credit cards is when you get more than one. If you get one card and maybe it's at 10, 15, 25,000 limit, but what happens when you get 4 cards or 5 cards or 10 cards? Now, it might sound crazy to have multiple business credit cards. Like, well, who wants to have to deal with all that? I'll tell you the person that can get approved. So you're not going to get approved for a lot of these types of loans when you're applying to get all of that, like 250,000 just on one loan. But when you get these micro loans, when you're getting it in the form of a business credit card, and each card is in between, 0 to 50,000. We have clients that have $150,000 on one credit card alone. And Chase Bank is a big approver. And so we have clients that have like $100,000 on one credit card, but that's only one card of multiple cards that they get. Now, let's talk about one of the advantages of using business credit cards. All of you guys have probably used mortgages and hard money loans and private money loans and HELOCs and all the other forms of funding. Has any of those forms of funding ever sent you a check? Have they ever paid you anything? Because business credit cards, they come with cash back. You can get cash back. You can get rewards from business credit cards. So let's talk about a use case. We have clients who are doing marketing and advertising. And so they're paying Google and YouTube and Facebook to advertise. That's called pay-per-click marketing. Now, when you're doing pay-per-click marketing, they require that you put in a credit card. Your company could be doing 25 million a year, and yet you still will have to put in a credit card. You cannot use a bank account. And so we have countless clients that are spending an ad spend. That means that's how much they're spending on their ads. They're spending 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 a month on their advertisements. That means they need to be able to have 300,000 in available business credit cards to be able to fund that. And so there's nothing better than using a 0% card. Now, these 0% cards, they come with an introductory rate of 0%. The shortest is 6 months, and the longest is up to 22 months at 0%. And this is standard. This isn't some loophole. This is something that business owners have been using for a long time, but a lot of people just don't know how it works. And they just don't know what they don't know. So let me ask you, do you think that's crazy that banks are offering 0%? Do you think that sounds too good to be true, that it's just not real? See, banks aren't making money off of the interest rate. Now, many times, of course, they are making money off the interest rate, but with business clients that are getting approved for business credit cards at 0%, they don't initially make their money off the interest rate. So when you get the card, let's say you get a card for $50,000 or $25,000, and then just by spending with that card, by going to Home Depot and spending on materials, by going to the local plumber and spending on materials, every time you spend, there's what's called an interchange fee. You're paying through simply using the card. Now, the merchant is the one paying that, but banks make billions and billions of dollars off of those fees. And so they're not only trying to make money off the interest rate. That's how they can offer a 0% card for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 22 months. So I'll state that again. They're not just making their money off of the interest rate that's carried. That's how they can have 0% cards. They're making money off of the actual transaction. When the transaction goes through, the merchant has to pay a fee, and that's where the bank is making money. So let's talk just a minute about protecting your credit. And yes, Raul, you do need to have good credit to apply for a 0% card. That's absolutely paramount. So real quick, what we'll do is we'll talk about the qualifications, because Raul's asking about the qualifications. So the qualifications are, you need at least a 680 credit score. at least a 680 credit score. Then, in conjunction with your tax ID number of your business, and if you don't have a business set up yet, we'll help you with that. But in conjunction with your tax ID number, then the credit will not report to your personal credit report. It reports instead to the business credit bureaus. So the next thing that we need, so guys, write these things down. First thing is a 680 FICO score. The next thing is no recent bankruptcies, foreclosures, or derogatory items in the past 2 years. I'll say it again. You need to have no recent bankruptcies, foreclosures, or derogatory items in the past 2 years. So if you have some that are older than that, that won't disqualify you, but you need to have a 680 FICO score, and you need to have at least 2-year clean history of no late payments or derogatories or recent bankruptcies. Then you need to have existing credit history. So if your credit report just doesn't have any history, then this isn't going to work for you, because that means that you kind of don't have any established credit profile. So you need to have at least 2 to 3 years of established credit with reasonable limits. A reasonable limit could be as low as $5,000, and then going up from there. The higher the personal credit card limits you have, the better. So now the last thing is, when we go to apply for you, you need to have your personal credit cards below 35%. Does that make sense, guys? So let's just make this real simple. Let's say you have a $10,000 card. If I'm going to keep it below 35%, then that means I need to have $3,500 or less on that card at the time of applications. At the time of applications. So it doesn't mean you can never use your credit cards. It just means when you go for the next round of funding, and a round of funding is when we're applying for 4 or 5 of these cards at the same time. So when you go for your next round of funding, you would want to make sure that it's at 35% or less. Now get this, once you get access to the business credit cards, you don't have to worry about that 35% anymore. That 35% only applies to personal credit cards. Now, let me tell you why this is really, really important. If you have personal credit cards that you've been using in your business, what happens is, as you use those personal credit cards, you're going to pull your scores down. When you go above the 35% ratio, you remember with the $10,000 card on $3,500 balance, when you go above that $3,500 on a $10,000 card, or when you go above the 35% ratio on a given personal credit card, what happens is your personal scores start to go down. They start to go down really, really low. Now that stops the application process for moving forward. That way we can't do credit stacking for you. Credit stacking is when we're going after multiple rounds of credit cards. We can only do that with business credit cards, because with business credit cards, we don't have to worry about that 35% ratio, and it's not reporting to your personal credit. So if you guys have any questions about that, feel free to ask your questions. So that's a really important reason as to why a business credit card and using multiple business credit cards is better than using personal credit cards. But when you do this process right, you can get up to $250,000 in 0% interest introductory credit cards, anywhere from 6 months at 0% up to 22 months at 0%. And you're protecting your personal credit. Just like I said, your DTI is going to stay clean because you're not maxing out all your personal cards. Guys, you understand what that means? When you max out your personal cards, you're really, really killing your score. And when you kill your score, you can't go back for more. I like that. I almost rhymed. So,
so Ari, just a couple things I wanted to touch on. So to what Raul had asked about the good credit, and obviously you given the foundation of what's really great for what the banks are looking for right now. That is a perfect example of what Fund&Grow is doing. The main focal point of getting you into funding is to make sure you're being able to be presented to the lenders looking your best. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean 850 credit scores across the board. It just means looking as strong as possible, a combination of your personal credit and a strong business entity. And a point that Ari touched on about having established credit already, that's absolutely paramount over the last year. we've been talking to some of our client specialists, and that's a huge factor that they're talking about, is even if you don't have unbelievably sky high credit limits, having great relationships with banks, just steady, hey, I've been working with Chase for like 10 years, we're cool with each other, all that is going a long way these days. A lot of banks are lending way more money to people that they know and have worked with than even people who have maybe a better credit score, but they're going to a bank for the first time. These are the factors that we want to make sure entrepreneurs are aware of when they go to apply for funding. So I'm actually going to be throwing in the chat the direct link to our deal that Ari mentioned earlier, but I just wanted to throw in those 2 cents.
Yeah, and that was perfect. Thank you, Zach. And keep in mind, guys, that right now banking relationships are more important than anything, especially if you're doing other forms of lending or if you're using other forms of lending with the banks. When you get 5 or 10 business credit cards, that means you now have a healthy relationship with 10 new banks. Think about that. And those relationships now are going to open up the doors for other forms of lending that those banks have. So let's talk about some other benefits of using business credit cards over personal credit cards or personal loans. So you want to start building your Dun & Bradstreet credit. You want to start building your Experian business, your Equifax business, and you can do that by simply applying and getting approved for a business credit card. That will automatically start building your business credit scores. And so not every business credit card reports to Dun & Bradstreet, but many of them do. And so that's a really important thing to keep in mind. So let's now touch base on the idea of what happens if I'm trying to spend my card, my business card. I got a business credit card and I need to spend it, but the business that I'm trying to buy something from doesn't accept credit cards. Let's put it into the situation of that I'm going to purchase some electrical work to be done in one of my flips or one of my rental properties, and I want to use my business credit card, but the electrical contractor does not accept credit card. Well, once they have given you your bid and you ask them to give you an invoice, you can take that to one of the third-party payment processors that we're going to recommend to you. And what you can do is you upload it into that site, and then inside that site, these are like banks. What they do is you put in all of the different credit cards that you have, all the ones that you would wish to use. And then you can select, you can say, I would like to pull 5,000 from this card, 10,000 from this card, whatever the amount may be. I know you probably aren't going to pay an electrical contractor that much, but the point is you can pull it from multiple cards. Then they give 3 options. The 3 options are, how quickly do you want to get the money to the contractor? Do you want to wire it to them? That's the most expensive. Do you want to ACH it to them? That's a little less. Or do you want to just send an old-fashioned snail mail check? And if you send a check, it's going to be at the least expensive cost. And then they are going to charge your credit card, and then they're going to send a check to the contractor, or they're going to send a check or a wire transfer to an escrow account. You can use a credit card to either purchase a house outright or to put money down on a house, to use it as your closing funds. And it's so simple. You just take your closing statement, you upload it into one of these trusted third-party sites that are approved with Visa, MasterCard, and American Express. They are approved to do those transactions. And then they will purchase the money off the credit card and facilitate the transaction. That right there is very, very cool, because that means that a business credit card can be used for any type of purchase, even if a business does not accept credit card. Now, you might be thinking, well, I don't want to have to pay a fee to make a purchase. And the truth of the matter is 90% of the time, you're not going to have to pay a fee, because most businesses accept credit cards. If you're going and buying materials at a wholesale warehouse, they're going to accept credit cards. If you are buying materials for a fix and flip at Home Depot, they are going to accept credit cards, and they're not going to charge you a fee. So yes, we do have an affiliate program. Zach can send you the information for our affiliate program. So most of the time when you're making a purchase, you are not going to have to pay a fee anyway. And so it's only in the rare instances that you happen to come across a business that does not accept credit cards where you can use one of these trusted third-party payment services. And guys, don't go trying to like do cash advances off your credit card. That's crazy. That's at like 25% interest rate. Don't use your own merchant account to charge a credit card. That'll get your merchant account shut down and your credit card. Merchant accounts are set up, for anybody that doesn't know, a merchant account is when a merchant, a business, has access to be able to accept credit cards in their business. But when you get your merchant account set up, it's set up specifically to run the transactions for your business. You don't have permission to use it for cash harvesting to charge your own credit card. You can't do that, even if it's a business credit card. Some people really don't understand that. You cannot use your own business's merchant account to charge your own credit card, whether it's personal or business. You can't do that. It's dangerous. You'll get your merchant account shut down. You'll get your credit card shut down. Don't do that. So let's see. Thank you. I really love what you all are doing. Awesome. Thank you so much. So now, guys, we use all these different types of loans. And I can tell you, I've never, ever received a check from using my home equity line. What I mean by that is when I use my home equity line, they never reimburse me any money. They never send me any money back. It's always me sending them money for the payment. Or an auto loan. If you've used an auto loan, it's always you making the payment for the auto loan. It's never them paying you back. It's never them giving you something back. So, but with business credit cards, when you're spending, let's say that you spend $100,000 because you're working on a flip, or you're spending on pay-per-click, or your business is just spending that amount per month in your normal business operations. Many businesses do. If you spend $100,000, and if you have a business credit card that gives you 3% cash back, which some of them do, that means you're going to get $3,000 back. Think about that. That's more than the cost of this program for the Black Friday special. And that's just on one purchase, on 1 month's worth of purchase for a business that's spending $100,000 a month. I can tell you Fund&Grow spends much more than $100,000 a month.
Now, hold on a second, Ari. This sounds like something like Dave Ramsey's going to come busting the door here about spending frivolously on credit and things like that. What do you say about, using these business accounts not just for rewards, but just to better organize your spending?
Yeah, so we're not talking about anybody going and making up any spending or spending money in order to get the cash back. That's ridiculous. We're talking about legitimate businesses that are already spending money within their business. Let's say that you're spending $10,000 a month or $20,000 a month. Switch it from going into your business bank account to instead going onto your business credit card. That way, you're going to get your rewards. And that way, you're going to get a check back from the business credit card. I can remember a few years ago, I flew to Barcelona, Spain with my whole family. And I live in Florida. So we flew out of Orlando all the way to Barcelona and back with nonstop tickets. Those are the most expensive ones. And we had business class, the best seats in the entire plane with beds. We were laying down. They were serving us, directly in the business class section. It was the nicest experience that I've ever had on a plane. And those tickets would have been $55,000 if I didn't have my American Airlines credit card with the points. I was able to use my cards. I'm pretty sure it was American Airlines. It might have been my Barclays card. But either way, I was able to use my points to be able to get those tickets. And I didn't have to spend anything on that trip. Think about that, guys. You're not going to get that when you use a hard money loan, or when you use a mortgage, or when you use private money, or when you use a HELOC, or even a BLOC, a business line of credit. You're only going to get that from a credit card. So how often do you hear people that when you bring up credit card, they think bad debt? Well, as business owners, are you going to use a credit card on bad debt? Are you going to use it and just go ring up the card and not get a return on your investment? Probably not. Probably not. You're probably going to use it as a strategic tool, maybe a strategic weapon inside your business. You're going to use it to do more of what you already do. whether it is that you're doing real estate, whether you own a brick and a mortar, if you own an office, it doesn't really matter what your business is. The only thing that you can't do is like medical marijuana. If it's federally illegal, then you're not going to be able to use a credit card for it. But as long as it's not federally illegal, you can use a credit card along with the third-party payment services that are approved by Visa, MasterCard, and American Express. You can use it for any type of transaction you want. So let's talk about the capital stack for a minute. I know a lot of people are utilizing a lot of different forms of funding, and we think that that's just absolutely great. You might be using a DSCR loan. A DSCR loan is a debt service coverage ratio loan. You might be using hard money. You might be using an SBA loan. And regardless of what type of loan you're using, you need to consider to use a business credit card and a stack of business credit cards along with it. That way, you can put less money into your deal. In other words, you're less of your own cash. Instead, you're using unsecured credit cards. So let's talk about unsecured. Unsecured is the word unsecured means that it's not secured off of an asset. Like, for example, a hard money loan is secured off of the house that you're working on. A mortgage is secured off a house. An auto loan is secured off of an auto. And that is what secured means. It's better to use unsecured funding, unsecured credit cards, because let's say that you get $200,000 in unsecured business credit cards, and then you use it. In some cases, we have a client that went and bought company vehicles, a little fleet of vehicles for their business. Now, regardless of what happens with this client's business, if they don't make the payment on the business credit cards, which God forbid that happens, we're not proponents of that. We don't want them not to make their payment. But if the economy should go bad and everything just goes belly up bust, they're not going to lose their vehicles because they bought the vehicles with unsecured credit. They don't have a lien against their vehicles. They don't have a note against their vehicles. Their vehicles are owned outright. They use a business credit card to purchase them, and the business credit card itself is unsecured. So let me know if that makes sense, guys. Come and ask a question, and if you'd like more clarity on that. But this is why using business credit cards as part of the capital stack is so important.
Now, Ari, one thing I wanted to throw out there as we're waiting for other questions in the chat is, Ari's been doing an amazing job of really laying down like the scaling. Like, okay, you're up and running, you've got a business. Business funding through 0% interest business credit cards is an unbelievable tool to have for scaling. But for anybody who's watching who's just looking to start out, you don't even have the business up and running yet. You don't have the brick and mortar up and running yet. If you want to go get an SBA loan, they want 2 years of provable revenue. If you're just starting, what are you supposed to do for those 2 years to keep above water? That's how you get stuck using your personal credit. That's how you get stuck, maxing out anything that you've got to your name. But using business credit, which doesn't have a 2-year wait limit on it, will allow you to kickstart what you're trying to get going. Then you can start scaling like Ari's been talking about here.
Yeah, that's a really important point. Thanks for bringing that up, Zach, because a lot of these other loans have such high qualifications, and business credit cards are truly designed around the small business owner to make it easy. They understand that you might still be working a corporate job. That way, that's why they allow you to use household income. So when you're applying for a business credit card, you can use your total household income. So that's if you're still working a corporate job or if you have a partner, all of that becomes part of your household income. And so it makes it, they make it so much easier than having to have 2 years of tax returns and so on. But let's switch gears for a second and let's talk about asset protection. How can a credit card be a form of asset protection? I wonder if you've ever thought about that before. Asset protection with a credit card. Let's say, I'm going to make up an example here, guys, so that it makes sense to you. So we have a client that went and is working on a flip property, and they were working on putting on a new roof on their property. So they were dealing with a contractor, a roofing company that they weren't 100% sure about. They were in a new market, a new area that they were just breaking into. They were using a contractor that they weren't sure about. So what they did was they put the roof the work, they put it onto a credit card. It was around $20,000. But then what happened was that the roofing company could not get the roof to pass inspection. They did the work. The inspector came out. It got red tagged, which means it's not passing inspection. And then the roofing company went and blamed our client. They're like, well, it's not our fault. The inspector's wrong. Well, here our client is trying to flip the house. They're trying to sell the house, and they can't sell it if the permit isn't closed, if the roof is being red tagged. And it is the roofer's fault. But the roofer didn't care. They don't care how long it takes. They don't care that this guy's paying hard money loan interest rates or whatever it might be the situation. They don't care. They're not trying to move the project forward as quickly as the person who's actually flipping the house is. And so what we taught our client to do was to turn over that credit card, look on the back of the credit card, and call the phone number on the back of the credit card. Call the bank and tell them about what the roofing company's doing to you. And this is a function called chargeback. When you use a business credit card or any credit card, you can charge back on a transaction if the company is not following through on their word. So what this client did was they called the phone number on the back, they charged back on the transaction, which means that the $20,000 got sucked out of the business's bank account and it got put back onto the credit card temporarily while the bank is arbitrating, which means kind of like a judge. They're figuring out who's right and who's wrong. Okay. So do you guys want to be arguing with the roofing company? No. So make the bank be your enforcer. The bank becomes your enforcer. So now the business, the roofing company had to call the bank and they had to prove that they were finishing the job. So what do you think happened? The roofing company immediately called our client. They were like, yeah, we'll come out and finish the job. They came out and they just figured out what they needed to do. They did what they needed to do in order to get the job completed. Once the job was completed, they reported back to the bank that, yep, the job was done. And now the bank allowed the transaction to go through. So do you guys see how great that is? Do you guys see how great that is? How awesome it is to be able to use the bank as your enforcement wing. If a business that you're dealing with, if you're unsure about it, about them and how good they are, put the transaction on a credit card. Don't pay out of your bank account. Don't pay with wire or ACH or cash or check. Pay for it with a credit card. A credit card gives you asset protection. That's protecting the asset that you're buying. That if that company goes rogue, if they don't do what they say they're going to do, then guess what? You can charge back and then you can get your money back. And the business does not want that. They don't want you to charge back. So they're going to work as hard as they can to stop that from happening. So that's how business credit cards are an amazing form of asset protection. If you guys have any questions about that, then go ahead and come to the questions area and let us know. Come to the comments. Just drop a comment. It'll pop up right here in our software, and we can see that live. So let us know if you have any questions about that. I'd love to answer any questions about using business credit cards as asset protection.
Now, Ari, as you are just dropping nugget after nugget here of information for these people, one thing I want to discuss, because we did get Avi did ask about, like, the deal that we're talking about for Black Friday. Can we go over just a little bit where Fund&Grow fits in all this? Because we've been talking about how revolutionary business credit can be, especially when you're using it in the best possible ways, like with asset protection and scaling and all that good stuff. So can we talk just a little bit about Fund&Grow? How does Fund&Grow fit on this? What can Fund&Grow do for people other than just blow their minds with information here?
Yeah, so our team is just filled with information. We've been doing this for about 20 years. For 19 years, we've been doing this. We did this during the crash of 2008. We've been doing this during the COVID. We've been doing this for 19 years, pushing 20 years. And what we're going to do for you guys is build you up to $250,000 worth of business credit cards. That's going to be on a series of cards. It could be 8 to 10 cards that all have $25,000, $50,000 limits, depending on your credit. If you have lower credit scores, then over the life of the program, it might be more around 100,000 in funding. So if you have a 680 credit score, you're going to be on the lower end of funding. If you have a 750 credit score, you're going to be on the higher end of funding. If you have an 800 credit score, then you could get over 350,000 in funding in business credit cards. And that's, again, based off of your profile. So everybody's credit profile is a little bit different. And so everyone's going to get a little bit of different results from the program. However, all of the cards are an introductory 0% for anywhere from 6 months up to 18 months at 0%. And you can use the credit cards to pay any vendor, whether they accept credit card or not. You're going to receive a dedicated credit coach that's walking you through how all this works. We actually do the applications for you. So we're going to help you with the strategy. All you have to do is a little bit of work in communicating with the banks after we've done the applications in order to maximize your approvals. And this is why we get 70% more funding than what you would get on your own. So if you apply on your own, you're going to get 70% less than what we would get walking you through this and helping you do it, because we're already doing as much work as we legally can do for you. Then there's going to be some things that we need you to do, very little bit, and we help you with that, but we make it as easy as possible. So then your dedicated credit coach is going to be walking you through this, like how do you spend the cards with a business that doesn't accept credit cards. So all of this is what we do for our clients. We've done this for 35,000 clients. So we've done this for 35,000 clients, and we have raised over $2 billion of business credit cards. It's actually, we're about to hit 2.1 billion. I think it's at 2.03, somewhere around there. So in a couple months, that's going to be $2.1 billion in business credit cards. And again, that's on a series of credit cards, anywhere from 8 months to 10 months. So if you guys are interested in having my team do this, we've been doing it for 19 years, then go ahead and click the link in the comments area, and you'll be able to take access of our Black Friday special. And we've never done a 50% off before. We are A+ rated on the BBB, on the Better Business Bureau, and we give you guys a 60-day money-back guarantee. Okay, there's not any other company out there that gives you a 60-day money-back guarantee on a credit card service like what we're doing, and that is A+ B rated on the Better Business Bureau, and they've been in business for pushing 20 years. This is something that is kind of unheard of, because so many companies out there are just taking advantage of people. They're charging them like what a lot of these companies do is they charge, like they first get you the funding by you putting like $1,000 or $2,000 down. Then after they've got you the funding, then let's say they got you $100,000. Then they charge you 15% of what they got you. So after putting $2,000 down, now you owe them $15,000 after they've got you the credit cards. See, we don't do that at all. We got two separate programs. We either have one where you do not pay up front and then we charge you 8% of the funding, or we have one where you do pay up front, you pay for the membership, and you do not pay on the back end. You do not pay a success fee. So we have the success fee one where you pay on the back end, or we have the membership where you pay up front. And today, instead of our membership being $4,000, and you guys can go to fundandgrow.com and you'll see that at fundandgrow.com, our service is $4,000. So today we are offering that at 50% off, which we've never done before. Usually on Black Friday, the last few years, we've offered it at $32.97. So this is a really great deal. We want to help out as many entrepreneurs as possible. Right now, the economy's been tough for many people. We've heard it. We've heard it on our sales calls. We've heard it on the different webinars that we do. A lot of people are saying that they're struggling. And this is our way of being able to give back and help. And we also have a wonderful program that's called our Grow program. Our Grow program is a monthly business growth coaching program. And so when you get started with Fund and Grow, you're going to automatically be enrolled in that program. You're going to get the first month free. The first month free. Then after that, it's just $50 a month. But you can cancel easily if you don't want to be part of that. Now, I'll tell you though, 87% of our clients want to be part of the Grow program long term, because we're not like a lot of other companies out there where they get you credit and then they just walk away from you. Our company is called Fund and Grow. It's about helping your business grow. That's why we do multiple rounds of funding for you, not just one. That's why we have our premium coaching program, where it is about helping your business grow. We bring in highly vetted speakers and entrepreneurs who are actually going to teach you, this is what you should be doing in your business. This is how you can make your business grow, depending on what type of business you have. So this ongoing coaching is all part of the Grow aspect of our program. And we got clients that have credit scores anywhere from 680. 680 is the lowest that they can get started. We have clients that have over 800 scores. And if you have an over 800 score, you're going to be getting like $300 and some $1,000 in funding. If you have a 680 score, you might be getting around $100,000 in funding. But let's quickly address some of the fees and costs. So there is 0 bank application fees with Fund&Grow. So when I say that it's going to cost you $19.98 today, that is the total amount that it's going to cost you. There is 0 bank application fees. There is 0 annual card fees. And if you buy the membership that we're talking about, the $2,000 membership today, we are not going to charge you any percentage of funding. So there's no back end fees. And the only time an additional fee would ever come in is in the rare case that you need to spend your business credit card with a vendor or business that doesn't accept credit cards. So you have to use one of those payment services. And in that case, you're not paying us that fee. You're paying that third-party service that's approved by Visa, MasterCard, and American Express. Those are the services that you would pay. So now let's talk about what the risks could possibly be. What could the risks be? So when Fund&Grow looks at your credit, that is a soft credit pull. So we actually won't even let you get started with our program. You'll notice that when you go to the link that we posted, you won't even be able to start the program right away. You have to first pre-qualify to see if you're qualified for the program. And when you go through our pre-qualification, it's free, doesn't cost you anything, and it will not leave an inquiry on your credit report, because that's what a soft pull is. So a soft credit pull is when there's no hard inquiry. Now, after you've qualified for our program and once you've gotten started, then when we're applying for you at the banks, there will be credit inquiries. So those credit inquiries are going to be for the applications that we submit for you, for when we're actually getting you the credit cards. Now, in that case, there's no way to not have credit inquiries because we're applying at a bank. And so the important thing to keep in mind is that we're not going to apply for you unless you have at least an 85% chance of getting approved. So if you have an 85% chance of getting approved, that's when we're going to take you to the bank. So that way, all these inquiries are going to, they're not going to hurt you. They're, like, for example, when you get an inquiry on your credit report, it'll bring down your score by a couple points. That's not cool, but your score will bounce back very quickly. Within a month or two, you're going to completely bounce back. But it's one of those things, you can't cook an omelet without breaking an egg. So if you want to get access to business credit cards, you're going to have an inquiry on your credit report. That's just part of it. So then what is the risk of managing the credit? So this is another thing that we're going to do. We're going to help you manage the credit in such a way where you're aware of all the cards that you have. You're aware of all the terms, the disclosures, everything that goes along with that card. We actually cannot apply for a card for you until you've clicked OK on and agreeing for each individual card. That is part of our radical transparency promise to you. And this is what we do for every client. We have clients that are getting hundreds of thousands of dollars using this type of credit. But when they went to apply on their own, they got very small amounts of credit. They got very small limits. In many cases, they got declined outright. So we are routinely generating 70% higher credit limits when we apply than what our clients would be getting on their own.
Ari, amazing. So as he's pointing out here, what you're getting with Fund and Grow is the dream team to back you up. I've said it, if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times, and Ari knows this. I truly believe that Ari Page has forgotten more things about the world of business finance than a majority of entrepreneurs will ever even learn in a lifetime. This guy knows what he's talking about. Now, one thing I did want to mention, obviously the pre-qualification idea, that soft pull that he was talking about, that's just the building block. That's just a snapshot to get a general idea of what's going on. From there, you can absolutely get signed up with Fund and Grow for the unbelievable reduced rate for Black Friday and really truly transform your life. You will have the dream team behind you. Ari Page at the top of the totem pole has taught everyone here exactly what he knows when it comes to getting business owners funding. Now, one question I did want to ask you, Ari, you've talked about business credit. You've talked about why it absolutely beats the pants off of traditional lending. You've talked about what you should be looking like getting into it. Can we talk just a little bit here as we are wrapping up soon? We got about 15 minutes left. Can you talk a little bit about corporate credit with Dun & Bradstreet, or what you've called the sort of peak of the mountain when it comes to business funding?
Yeah, you're literally reading my mind, because I was literally just going to bring that up. So thank you so much, Zach. So basically, I've bought quite a few buildings using corporate credit. So corporate credit is not with a business credit card. Corporate credit is completely non-recourse. It's non-PG, which means that it's not going to count against your credit report or you personally. And this type of funding comes after you've built up your business. So once your business is built up and you have revenues coming in that you can prove on tax returns, then you can get access to corporate credit. Corporate credit is different than business credit. So at first, entrepreneurs start off with business credit cards, which will report to places like Dun & Bradstreet, and it'll help build your paydex score, because you need to have, your business needs to have good revenues, but then you also need to have a good paydex score to get approved. So like, for example, what a good example is the Fund and Grow building. The Fund and Grow building was bought on a corporate credit loan. And that did not require me as the owner to personally guarantee it. It was non-recourse funding. And that is the ultimate type of funding that you want to get your business access to. Now, no one's going to start off with that type of funding. So that's why we have only waited till now to talk about it. It's really, really critical that you start with the business credit cards first. And that way you can build up to those larger amounts, and you can build up to getting access to the corporate credit accounts. So Jump Organic was saying that they used Fund and Grow a couple years ago, and I was approved for 0% funding, but they didn't end up using the credit. So now he's saying I have real estate deals lined up and a clear path to use the funding. Do I need a new LLC to qualify? No, you do not need a new LLC to qualify. So that's very important. Yes, you can use the same business as before. And once you get access to the 0% cards, you can jump on it and you can use it within your business. So that kind of sucks that you didn't do any deals last time when you got started, but we'd be happy to serve you. And the great thing is, and I'm not sure your name, but it says Jump Organic, so maybe that's the name of his company. But the great thing is that we have a deal that's better than what you paid the first time. So the deal today is $1,998, which is 50% off our $4,000 program. And so we would be honored to serve your small business, and we're going to do a great job, just like we did the first time. Looks like on your first round of funding, you got $54,000, but you didn't go through subsequent rounds because you weren't using that round. But we're going to work hard for you and get you access to a lot more funding. And the fact that you got that funding in the first place, the 54, is going to make our job easier to go back for larger amounts. So if you have deals lined up now, you may need more than 54,000. And so it's good that you got that in the beginning. And so that way you can move forward and get access to more now. So, and by the way, if anyone else has any questions, feel free to comment, whether you're watching us on YouTube or on Facebook, or where are we all streaming, Zach?
Great question. So we are on TikTok, we are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, we are on LinkedIn, we are on Rumble. So wherever you're seeing this stream right now, be sure to hit a follow or a subscribe so that you can stay up to date with this sort of information. Over the last year, Ari Page has been on a slew of podcasts and has been interviewing all kinds of entrepreneurs and success stories with Fund&Grow. Those are available on our YouTube and other social media platforms. I release some content every once in a blue moon about business funding and what's going on in the world of that. So wherever you're seeing this, make sure you hit subscribe or follow. If you want to hit a like on this stream as well, we'd appreciate it. But this is absolutely the opportunity that you've been waiting for, whether it's time that you're finally done with the 9 to 5 and you want to be your own boss, or if you've been keeping your head above water with a business for however long and you're tired of struggling and you really want to have the ability to scale. The stuff that Ari Page has been talking about here is the kind of steps that we can put together with you to ensure your success with business funding.
And guys, I want to address real quick, what is the cost of waiting? What is the cost of not taking action today, of not taking advantage of this Black Friday special, and of not getting access to up to $250,000? Have you ever thought about that? How much is it going to cost you to not take advantage of this deal? Well, the question is, how much money do you make in your business? You know, are you fixing and flipping? Are you buying and holding? Are you an Amazon reseller? Do you have a brick and mortar? Do you run a restaurant? The truth is that when you get access to funding, you're going to be able to move your business forward so much faster. You've worked hard to build your business. You've sacrificed time, money, and energy. You're not going to let a lack of capital stop you from scaling. And guys, timing matters. Getting access to the funding quickly matters, because as we know, the bank environment changes constantly. And right now, banks are still approving the 0% credit at high limits. But we've seen this window close before, in 2008 during the crash, in 2020 during COVID. And when the bank window closes, it closes fast. So you really need to take advantage of this, because every month that you delay, it could cost you $10,000 in revenue, $20,000 in revenue, $50,000 in revenue. And I don't mean to shortchange your guys' businesses. You might be making a lot more than that in your business. But honestly, I always say that the best time to start was 6 months ago. And the second best time is today. And that's doubly true, because you're going to get access to our Black Friday special, which is very unique and different and is not something that we do all the time. So, Sarah Liskey is saying, I have 12-month hard money lending opportunities at 12%. Does this work? Can I use the credit as cash advance then fund hard money loans? Now, you can't use it as not as a cash advance, but the answer to your question is yes. But we have to, but cash advance is the wrong way of pulling the money off the card. So you don't want to do a cash advance, because that's at 25%. But what we're going to show you, Sarah, is how to use one of the third-party payment services that can fund an escrow account. You could pay a hard money loan payment, and as you know, when you're closing on your hard money loan and you're getting all your money together, it all goes to your escrow account. So we're talking about using the credit card to pay an escrow account to put down for the hard money loan. And the answer to that is yes. And so if you have a 12-month hard money lending opportunity at 12%, you know, I don't know what the closing points on that are going to be. It's probably going to be 2 or 3 points. You're looking at spending, you know, over that 12 months, you're looking at spending, you know, tens of thousands of dollars. Whereas with business credit cards, if you are able to pay that down and use as little hard money as possible, then you're going to be using unsecured credit. Because remember, hard money is secured off of the property. Unsecured credit cards are not secured off the property. Unsecured credit cards are like I don't want to say free money, because it's not like that at all. Our clients are very serious and they always pay it back. But what I'm saying is that in the case that your deal goes sideways, which sometimes happens in real estate, you want to be using unsecured money, as much money as possible that's not secured on the property. Unsecured means that it's not going to count against you the same way that it will if it's a loan that's tied to a property. So that's a really important thing to understand, is to use unsecured funding. And so Sarah, let me know if you have any further questions about that. And I want to remind everyone again what the qualifications are. So the qualifications on this type of credit cards is to have at least a 680 credit score. You want to have a clean credit report, meaning no recent bankruptcies in the past 2 years. no recent foreclosures or derogatory items in the past 2 years. And then you want your existing credit history to have at least 2 to 3 years of reasonable credit limits. We're talking like at least a 5,000 credit card or higher on your personal credit report. Oh, Sarah's talking about actually being the bank. She says, I'm talking about being the lender on the hard money deal. So we've had a slew of clients that get access to credit using business credit cards, and then they loan out money in various different types of private money. So what Sarah's talking about is private money loans. She's talking about being a hard money lender. And so as a hard money lender, yeah, it doesn't really matter where you get the money from. It just matters if you have the money to be able to do that. And so that's a really cool thing that you can do. And yes, we have quite a few clients that have done exactly that in terms of, so actually Sarah's giving us an example here. She says, I'm lending $100,000 and earning 12% annually. Does the service account work? So the answer to that would be yes. You can use it for a whole variety of different things. You can literally use it to buy a house. You can use it for a whole variety of different things. And in this case, then you can use it to loan money out as well. What a great idea. So guys, it's very simple to onboard. Once you've onboarded, you're going to have a strategy call. You're going to meet your dedicated credit coach. We're going to analyze your file and build your custom funding plan. Then you're going to get to applications and negotiations. We handle the applications for you, targeting the highest approval cards, and then guide you through easy bank conversations in order to secure you maximum funding. Yes, thumbs up to you, Sarah. Thank you. Thank you for your question. Guys, if anybody has any questions, come and ask us your questions. We'd love to be able to answer those. So then once your funding is secured, because you first onboard, then the applications, then funded, you get your cards. We teach you how to manage them, pay vendors, build your corporate credit score. Then you're going to grow, which is the ongoing coaching and the next rounds of funding, 12 months of access to our team for your next funding rounds to get you up to $250,000 and beyond. And we're going to help you build up to $250,000 in 0% business credit cards. The 0% is introductory for as short as 6 months, as long as 22 months. We're going to help you if you need to use a credit card to pay a vendor that does not accept credit cards. So we call that the any purchase method. And you're going to receive 12 months of dedicated credit coaching by your dedicated credit coach. And we're going to help you with any type of issues or problems that you have. So it's not just about getting you the credit. It's about helping your business grow. We're very nurturing, and this is what we do. We've done this for 35,000 business owners, and we've built over $2 billion worth of these business credit cards. So Raul is asking, is it possible to get funding with a bankruptcy that discharged in June of this year? So the answer to that would be no, because you need to have at least a 2-year credit profile that's at least clean for 2 years. So now, Raul, do you have anybody that you work with? Are you perhaps married? Do you have a partner? If you have a partner, you could use your partner to sign up with. We only need one clean credit profile. So sometimes clients have a business partner that they work with, and so they use their business. They sign up now to secure the deal, but then they use their business partner's credit profile. We will work with you to find that. In some cases, people have used their brother or sister as a clean credit profile. In other cases, people have used their adult children that are obviously older than 21, the older the better, and they've used them for a clean credit profile. This all depends on your particular situation. If you don't have any of those things, then what we can do is we can refer you to our credit repair company, which is called Kadam Credit Help. Raul says he's in credit repair. Okay. So yeah, so that's what I recommend that you do now. So if anyone isn't there, it doesn't have good enough credit to get started, then yes, I recommend that you use a credit repair company so that you can move forward and you can get access for business credit. It's important that you use a credit repair company if you have bad credit, because how else are you going to fix your credit? You got to get your credit fixed so that you can move forward on getting access to business funding.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Ari, everyone, thank you so much for joining us here. I hope that not even hope, I know this has been informative. This has been an absolute, the closest thing to a TED Talk when it comes to business credit and finance that I think you're going to get on a Black Friday. To anybody who watches this after the fact, you really, really, really want to jump in on the pre-qualification or the direct links that were put in the various chats. This deal is not going to last terribly long. So before we jump off here, Ari, our guest of honor here, the treasure trove of knowledge, any parting words for any entrepreneurs who may be watching this?
Yeah, I just want to encourage any fledgling entrepreneur, or whether your company is doing a couple 100,000 a year, whether you're doing a couple million a year, I want to encourage you to put your foot on the gas, to really excel at what you're doing by giving yourself access to more funding so that you can do more of what you do. It always amazes me how many people have stepped out of the corporate world over the last few years and got into their own business. And sometimes they're struggling because they're only going off of the cash flow of the business. Well, there's another option. And you don't have to go on Shark Tank. You don't have to give away half of your business. That's always crazy. You see people giving away like 50% of their company for like $100,000. Well, why would you do that when you can do it completely on your own by using business credit cards? So I want to encourage everyone to put yourself in the driver's seat and to get access to the funding that you need so that you can really grow your business the smart way. So thank you guys for joining us today. And we're going to go ahead and sign off. And don't forget to follow us on any of the channels that you're on, so that when we do our next updates, that you can tune into us.